Hello team, welcome to another ATP Geopolitics video with myself, Jonathan M. This is Ukraine War Frontline update for the 14th of March 2024. I promise this will be my last video of the day. Right, if you don't know what the lines on my map mean, please check out the screen at the moment, pause the video. Before we go to the front line, a couple of things. First, Surrey Maps has not posted tweets on the mapping updates, although they have done mapping updates, but apparently their account was hacked. Now it's been completely recovered, so that's why I have nothing to support their claims. Nonetheless, the changes to the mapping is still shown. Positive also, this is really very big. Positive thing is that, quote, this is from Syrski, Commander Syrski, that despite the rather difficult situation on the entire front line, we managed to start the process of rotations and replacement of units that have been performing combat tasks at the front for a very long time. This will stabilize the situation and have a positive effect on the morale and psychological state of our soldiers. In the course of work, I will I made all the necessary decisions to increase the combat capabilities of our brigades. This is a really good move from Syrski, and it probably comes around from the audit he's done of troops that are, they are mobilized troops that are already working for the Ukrainian armed forces, but just not combat on the zero line in combat positions. These might be doing logistics or checkpoints or whatever. And he did an audit of all the armed forces of Ukraine and found out that only 30% of the armed forces have been fighting on the front line of all the people that could do, I guess. And so therefore, this has allowed him and his administration to work out actually that we can move some of the people from the front line who've been fighting non-stop for so long and move them and rotate them around and move people into combat positions. So I think that's really important. It's been one of the big complaints. So there's a process of rotation that has started. Right, before we then go to the eastern or the northeastern axis, remember there is still activity taking place in a number of places in Kursk and Belgorod, particularly I think Grivoron again, which I think should be around here. Yeah, Grivoron there, out from Kozinka. I've still got the places marked as JR marked them yesterday, where the Russians were active. Some places up around here, Tetkino. Oh no, where's Tetkino gone? I've lost it in Kursk. Anyway, you get the point. So Kharkiv, I'm going to find that. Where are there you are. There you are, Tetkino there. So still activity around there today, and a number of places in the Belgorod region too. Now, Grivoron is pretty tasty at the moment. There's burning things, looks like shelling and whatnot. Now, I'm having to edit this in because I just recorded myself talking about these videos about Russia shelling residential areas of Belgorod, Belgorod People's Republic, the city of Belgorod, and no reports here saying a part of the centre of Belgorod is covered in smoke. Cars are burning after heavy shelling from Russian insurgents. Some people suggesting not that it's Russian insurgents, that it could be Russia. Others suggesting it's the pro-Ukrainian Russians. But then I've just seen this, which is that the video is fake. This is fake from Kazakhstan, filmed back in 2022. So just be warned. I don't know whether it is or isn't, but there are claims that Belgorod's a bit of a war zone, the city of Belgorod. That is not the case. However, there is an awful lot going on in those areas of the north, and Deep State Map still has these as grey zones. And I assume they still are to some extent. Well, it's just dynamic. Who knows what's going on there. There's lots of footage coming out. There's even imagery of Russians surrendering to the pro-Ukrainian Russian forces. So Russian soldiers defending the Russian border, waving what looks like a white flag after their position was shelled. And this is in Spodarshino, which is thankfully geolocated, so I don't have to look endlessly for that on the map. And Russian soldiers could well have been surrendering here at that settlement just over the border. So that is another area of attack that's quite close to the Kozinka one that isn't indicated by what JR done from yesterday. So there just seems to be multiple points where these pro-Ukrainian Russians are attacking. I don't quite know what their end game is here, and I don't really know what they have so far achieved and what they're hoping to realistically achieve. But goodness me, it is active across the border there. Right, as we come down to the northeastern axis within Ukraine, from Kupiansk to Svatova to Crimea, the Institute for the Study of War, I looked through their report, and it was the smallest number of reports that I've seen for a long time, or the smallest amount of detail. Although there are a lot of pins on here, according to the ISW, yesterday was very much positional, and yep, there's some geolocated gains in some of these sort of Avdiivka areas, but really relatively quiet, all things considered. We have in the Terny-Torska area some rejigs possibly for deep state map, making it look like Ukrainian gains, and some gains for the Russians in terms of Surat maps. I don't know with Surat maps. I think there's an argument to say that quite often at the moment this is where vehicles are attacking. This is where vehicles are getting blown up. It doesn't mean that the Russians control that area. I don't know about this place, but certainly that's happening an awful lot with Surat maps. Anyway, it is quite active around the Terny area. Although the ISW says it's sort of positional around there, no confirmed gains. Then when we come down past Bakhmut, you can see there are no gains at all. Even Ivska has remained as it has been now for, what is that, 4 days or something like that? That is incredibly significant as far as I'm concerned. The Ukrainians, it's either the Ukrainians are repelling Russian attacks and they are putting effort into defending Chasiv Yar. If you remember, Greg Terry was saying that he thinks Chasiv Yar will eventually fall. I'm not so sure myself. I actually have some confidence that the Ukrainians might be able to defend that, because I'm not really sure how much the Russians can throw at so many different places. Now, I think that my view is supported somewhat by Ivanivska not having moved for 3 or 4 days. And you would expect that to be a place where they would. So either the Ukrainians are doing a really good job of repelling, or the Russians are running out of steam, or both. And that leads into what Zelensky was saying the other day, which is that the Ukrainians have halted the Russian offensive on the Eastern Front, broadly speaking. Well, it certainly looks like that could be the case around Bakhmut, although I would need far more details really to confirm that. But certainly for the last 4 days, it's been relatively unmoving in Bakhmut. We can see that there are still apparently some gains according to Surat maps and deep state maps around Badichi area. So this is, ISW did concur that there was geolocated footage of some advances in Badichi, but that's probably further back here from what Surat maps has, which is, you know, going right up to this river area. And then deep state map in Orlivka, some small gains there for them. Just this build, small gains, that building. So that is a slightly high-rise building, so, you know, fairly significant landmark position in the area. But they've obviously got evidence that the Russians control that. Some claims about Tonyenka, but none of the mappers changing there. But the Institute for the Study of War did say some potential gains there. And then around Pervomaisky, both Deep State map and Surat maps has the Russians pushing the Ukrainians out of that remaining kind of salient area, although they're on a defensive there in that Pervomaisky area. And I think it's looking like the Russians might well push the Ukrainians right back in Pervomaisky to that point, especially as they are supposedly having success in Novelska as well, although the other mappers haven't agreed with Surat Map's claims about Novelski. So I am very interested to see how it develops there particularly. As we come on further to the south, we can see that there are some more gains now in Novomykhailivka, with Andrew Perpetua showing that the Russians have moved forward in the eastern outskirts, although that's really just to play catch up with deep state maps and not even close to what Surat Maps is claiming of the area. And then deep state maps showing some gains for the Russians in the southern or southeastern area of Novomykhailivka, so, and also a bit to the northeast too. So there's still some vast differences between the mappers. You can see here to the north of Novomykhailivka, Andrew Perpetua still has the Russian defensive line way back from where the other mappers have the Russian defensive line. So, it's not so clear cut at the moment. I mean, that's a good 2.25 kilometers there. So, yeah, they disagree. It's a fog of war. We won't necessarily know. There'll be lots of contradictory information and data points coming out from here. But nonetheless, some gains around Novomykolivka to some degree. And then we come on to the Velika Novoselka sector, where both Andrew Perpetua and Surat Maps agree that there's some increased control for the Russians just to the west of Pryutne. Between Stepova and Pryutne, another Stepova, on the way to Levadne. So the Russians may be having some success there. I don't know whether that is a case of some new evidence just coming out to show that they just control that area and no one had realised they did before, or whether there's an advance that's taking place there. I don't know yet. And then Surat Maps has some slight gains, fairly important gains northwest of Verbove here, but no other mapper agreeing with that. In fact, around here, we still have both Deep State Maps and Andrew Perpetua having the Russian defensive line further back from the first Surovikin line there. So the Tank Ditch and the Dragon's Teeth. So really, again, varied interpretations of the front line. I mean, all around Robotina, there's a big difference between Andrew Perpetua and Surat Map. So, take all the claims from everyone here with a pinch of salt. Anyway, if we come to Robotina, there is plenty of evidence to show that the Russians are having a tough time of it. The successful, this is tongue-in-cheek, successful Russian assault in Robotina, golf carts and an infantry fighting vehicle. So they are using these Desert Cross 1003-3 golf cart vehicles, very light vehicles, in their attacks at the moment. Again, the question is, are they using them because they're the right thing to use, or are they using them because they have no other equipment to draw from? They were given 1,000 of these by China, or sold 1,000 of these by China through a New Zealand company, I'm led to believe, which is a bit of an issue. But yes, they are losing equipment, the Russians, still. There's plenty of footage to suggest that it is very costly for the Russians to maintain these vectors of attack in all the places we're seeing pins at the moment. It is expensive. They may be making gains, but the question, as always, is it worth the costs that they are incurring in order to make those gains? Anyway, that's a front line. Bit of this, bit of that, and an awful lot going on the northern border of Ukraine in the Belgorod and Kursk oblasts. I'll try and keep you up to date if anything significant develops. Anyway, in the meantime, thanks so much for your support. I really do thank my members and subscribers as well. You really do help me to keep going. And yeah, please also remember that we are doing that fundraising for the armoured medical vehicles. You can find the fundraising details through Greg Terry's organisation that I'm wholeheartedly supporting in that. So you can find those in the description below. In the meantime, take care.